Sergio for Practical Combat with Cung Lê. Thank you very much for the opportunity and, giving me the chance to interview you. Let me tell you before I start that I have always admired you, and I know many people that have started fighting and into martial art because of you. So how are you feeling today? Can you hear
I'm
me?
feeling great. Thanks for having me on your. Hello?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so thanks for having me on your, and sorry for the sunlight and everything, but let's rock and roll. What you got?
Excellent. I have a few questions. The first one I have is, why did you start fighting in MMA? What you were like the best Sanda fighter ever, Sancho Sanda fighter ever. What did it make you go into MMA? And what do you think that has become MMA today, from your point of view, of course?
Probably two people. One is Scott Coker, at the time the president of Strikeforce, and the other one is Javier Mendez. They talked me into jumping over and giving mixed martial arts a try, and I said, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain, so I went ahead and tried out mixed martial arts.
And you did very well. Your videos are still going around the world, and people are still amazed with your kicks and your performance. I'm a big fan of you, my friend. I have a question before going into more questions about MMA. Do you consider yourself as a mixed martial artist yourself, or you think like the transition between sand and sancho is your main weapon, like your main style? Like, do you consider yourself, let me make the question more clear, do you consider yourself like a kung fu fighter, or since you have trained so many martial arts, you consider yourself more like an MMA, like you do everything to win your fight? What's your opinion on that subject?
I just try to adapt to each style. Obviously at the time, mixed martial arts was the platform where I was fighting, so I try to evolve into the best mixed martial artist that I could be, so I can entertain the crowd and then fight and win and put food on the table. So
For sure. What was the hardest part in your training?
the hardest part of my training is overtraining, because I used to just train and the coaches would have to kick me out of the gym. So that's nothing was ever hard about it. It was just me overtraining my body and then always thinking that I have to do more when I already done enough.
Exactly. And what do you think of the state of MMA today? Because that topic, you have a lot to tell me and to put me up to date. And people want to know what's your opinion on that subject.
Well, MMA is always evolving. The fighters are always getting better. They're stronger. I think now with some of the weight cut rules and stuff like that, it's safer for the athletes not to kill themselves cutting all the way down, when they can actually perform at a higher level when they feel good and they're not killing themselves making the weight. And so you'll have better fights and better performances. So I think now everything's so scientific, the diet, the training, the rest, and the recovery. So I think we're gonna have a lot better fights. And back in the old school days when I was training, it's like, how much do you train, how hard do you train, how much do you train, so that I think that's the biggest difference. Now it's like everything's scientific.
That's true. And what about, do you feel that MMA is bringing more like the striking back again? Because I remember like 5-6 years ago, everybody wanted to know about MMA. But I see that more Muay Thai tournaments are coming back, more kickboxing tournaments, even Sand and Sancho is like flourishing back again. Do you think that that has to do with MMA, and it's because we see more stand-up in MMA today? Or what do you think about it? It's just evolving the times?
No, I think it's just everyone finds the best technique that wins for themselves, and I think it's striking alone. It won't do it. You just got to be a well-rounded fighter. And I think it's just the striking game. Everyone keeps it up because I guess the fans want the knockouts. The fan wants the exciting toe to toe and and I feel that the fighters understand and they're aware of what's gonna put money in their pocket, what's gonna put butts in the seats. And I think that's what's happening there. They know that they have to elevate their game in the stand up so they can perform.
True. That's true. And what about your acting career? Any more movies coming up?
In the last year, I didn't really do much. I just been focusing on my sons, and just getting him, Anthony, and then my youngest son Robert, just getting them. It's a transition in going into high school and starting a new school, moving from Elk Grove to San Jose again. So I think that was. For me, I got to put family first. So, and then I got to make sure my kids are going to be okay. So Anthony, he's he's an athlete and he wants to be like me. So, it's a hard life, but right now he's wrestling, he's doing great. And, so I just want to, put the effort and the time in so I don't miss those moments for him and with him. So I'm just doing my best, being the dad and at the same time the coach.
The coach.
Yeah.
And he has a high step to go up, meaning that he has, I'm pretty sure that he wants to be like you and you want your son to be better than you. I'm pretty sure about that. How hard that is. It's super.
Well, as a freshman now, he's actually better than I am, better than I was as a freshman. And he's like, I think he's stronger. His boxing is better. My kicking was better at the time, but his wrestling, he's really, he started, he had two JV tournaments because I didn't want him to go varsity. And he was upset about that because he felt like he can compete for that spot. And I didn't want him to cut the weight, so I just told him to go any weight, and like he would just weigh in with all his clothes on, and then the coach would, throw him into the next weight class up. So he's like actually wrestling 2 to 3 weight classes up, and he's just going in there and dominating all the competition. And he would lose in the finals at 2 JV tournaments just little mistakes instead of like keeping him down, he's letting them go, or he's body slamming them and he's getting like a point deducted or clasping his hand. So he's still getting used to that collegiate style wrestling. And then just recently the coach says, hey, I want him to go to wrestle at the Sierra Nevada. And that's like one of the tougher tournaments on their schedule where there's like, probably like 100 schools there. And he had 60 something wrestlers in his weight class. And then he got to the quarterfinals, lost to the number 1 seed. And then, he just went out there, tried to throw the guy, and he's just so gung-ho and then got caught on his back. But then he won the next match. And this was his first tournament that he did, a 2-day tournament. So the next day he woke up and usually he never asked for any Tylenol or pain meds. He was like, I need Tylenol. He couldn't even move. And then, I get him Tylenol. He has to make weight again. And then he goes in and, he's got a real close match. I think at one point he was up 5-4. Then he gets he gives the guy a takedown. He gives the guy an escape, and he gets taken down and he gets put on his back, and then gets pinned. But he was up, and he lost it in the last round. And this was at a varsity tournament, so it was great experience for him. So now he's just recovering from a little injury, and and so he'll be back soon.
He has one of the best fighter, or for me, like I always tell, for me, you are the best fighter ever. I always tell that if you ever go to my old videos, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm always talking about how good and how inspiring you were. So he has like a really good fighter and coach to guide him through the transition and, to help him to be a better sportsman. I have a few questions about your skills? Are you still training like for health, or do you still bang with the heavy bag and spar once in a while, or you are taking it easy on life?
Oh no, for me, I never stopped training. I'm actually the brand ambassador of Punch King. I help out Spar Bar, and then I've been working closely with this tactical group called BAT Tactical, which is Bay
Mm-hmm.
Area Tactical, and they're teaching like civilians how to shoot and self defense and
Good.
fight or flight, how to survive. I also have a Instagram that handle that's very popular, fight to fight or flight, and just teaching people about their natural surroundings and how to be, to know their situational awareness and then how not to be a victim. And I'm also like an advocate of like domestic violence. My girlfriend, she was a victim of domestic violence, and she's still going through it now. And like the ex is a deputy sheriff, from Kentucky, and it's just there's some corruption, and
Yes.
there's a lot of things going on, and I just want to give her a voice and support her, and support all the victims of domestic violence. So I've been put a lot of time and dedication into that, and then along with trying to be that coach that's not like the soccer dad or the soccer mom yelling at their kids. I try to keep it, if my son wants me to coach him, I try not to get too loud, and I try to give that respect for the
It's
coach. And
hard.
yeah, and then so this so everything's I gotta find that balance. And then, I wrote a couple scripts, one for a TV pilot, and then one for a movie. Actually, I got two for a movie, and we're in some talks with some investors, and it's looking really good. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm just gonna let it play out the way it plays out, and let God do the work and set up the path, and then I'll be ready to walk down that path.
I am so happy you're using your life experience to help other people. Man, you're so inspiring. Wow, this is really amazing, because many people think that fighters, they just fight for money and that's it. But no, you're doing more than that. You fought, and you are now helping people and using your knowledge to do that. I'm so proud, sir. I'm so proud of you, for
Well,
real.
there's also, the big thing. I'm sure that's gonna be your next question. So I'm gonna have to jump the gun and beat you to it.
Go.
I am part of pushing the Muhammad Ali Act from boxing to MMA, and then I'm with MMA FA, and then also I'm part of the lawsuit against the UFC. I'm fighting for 1,200 UFC fighters in the lawsuit that will benefit from this lawsuit.
For
But
sure.
at the same time, I think when we win this lawsuit, it will change the dynamic of the game and make MMA more like boxing. So it's not only Connor who's getting paid, but
That's true.
later on it'll be like, Cowboy who's going to get paid. I'm sure, Connor is a huge draw, but, I'm sure whatever they're going to pay Cowboy is not what they would pay, like if someone's fighting Canelo, right? Or if someone's
Of
fighting,
course.
Joshua, those guys get paid a lot more than what I'm sure Cowboy would get paid. But, in the meantime, everyone knows that because all the work that me and John Fitch and the MMAFA group, all the guys, Nate and then, Brandon Vera, we're all fighting for all the fighters. And what a lot of people don't know is, like, we're not trying to take down the UFC. We're just trying to make it fair. We're trying
Make
to,
it better.
they've already, monopolized the market. They bought out WEC. They bought out Strikeforce. They bought out, Pride. And, it really sucks because, the fighters don't have that negotiating chip to bring their rate up. So whatever the UFC gives them, that's what they get. And what this lawsuit would do is let everyone know that if, like, Mark Cuban jumps in the game and he
Mm-hmm.
wants to, if John Jones is done with his 1 or 2 fight deal with the UFC, or up for the year, or he sits out because he doesn't want to fight for the UFC, he can fight the champion from one FC, or he can fight another champion, then you can have, you know, people unifying the belts and stuff like that. So then the fighters will get their fair market value. Even the guys that are up and coming, you know, they won't have to fight for, you know, the whatever that, you know, the 9-9 or 18-18 or something like that. Come on, these guys are taking shots and punches and knees and get choked out, put out unconscious, you know, and the promotion, the UFC is making 85% of the profit. I think that's just ridiculous. It should be, you know, fair. Look at boxing. The promoters are making like, you know, 15 to 30%, and the rest goes to the fighters and the promotion and the you know, the marketing and all that. So, you know, I think you know, when that happens, a lot of fighters will, you know, be able to make a lot more money, and you know, and you know, a lot of fighters are not aware of that either. You know, they don't know what's going on. They don't want to do the research because, you know, they just don't have the time, or, you know, or want to be involved. I don't know what the reason,
that's
but
what I think it is. Many people see USC, they want to go in, they take any deal, they put them, and that's where the problem comes later. I have a lot of friends that fight for the USC, and some are not fighting anymore. And what they told me, and this is not talking trash or anything, their opinion is that it's not fair with their fighters. It's not fair at all. It's like a good brand but bad company for fighters. It's what they told me. So, and what they did to you, they ruined your, like, a whole generation. Everybody was waiting for your fights, and I'm sorry to say that was wrong, man. What they did to you.
Yeah, for them, the whole thing is I didn't want to sign like an extension unless my lawyers looked at it, right? And you know, it's just how they do things. They wait till the last minute. I was getting ready to fight Michael Bisping, and 2 days before I was leaving, you know, their lawyers like, hey, you get the email with your new fight deal. Congratulations. I'm like, congratulations what? You know, I'm getting ready for a fight. I need to focus on my fight. Have your lawyer look it over and send it back today. I'm like, I'm not going to send it back today. He's on vacation. I'll send it back. Let me focus on the fight. And, you know, one thing led to another. And look at all the shit that happened because I didn't sign the extension, you know. That's my belief. I believe that the reason why things happen the way it is, and they were wrong about it, because the Olympic Committee PEDS specialist came on, and he wasn't sticking up for me, but he was basically saying, you know, this is my 10-year research on HGH. You know, it's, you know, the body produces it naturally, and if you're gonna test someone, they need to have a resting heart rate. They need to wake up, and they shouldn't be exercising or eating. They should just come in, wake up, and drive in, or you know, take the test. And that's not what happened. You know, they tested, you know, both me and Michael right after the fight, and I think they tested 2 other athletes. But how come my test is the only one that's up? And then how come the test got destroyed? Where's the test? Where's Michael's test? Where's everyone else's who got tested? How come it got destroyed? Well, you know, figure it out.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, you know.
It is what it is. It was really bad, and I'm really sorry. But, you know, at least we still have you very involved in the MMA community and helping fighters. Now, I have a very silly question. What is your favorite strike? Let's say kicks. What is your favorite kick?
Well, of course, you know, anything that spins and anything that connects, you know. The wheel kick or the scissor kick or the back kick. You know, those are my 3 favorite kicks.
The back kick for me is the best. The scissor kick, I could never do it. I have tried to do the way you do it, never been able. And I have really good kicks. I mean, no one to sound cocky, but I train a lot of my kicks because I like them. It's my best tool. And any advices for upcoming athletes? And that will be the last question. I don't want to take more time for you. That will be the last question.
It's okay. You know, advice for athletes: don't overtrain. Know your body, and know about the Muhammad Ali Act and MMAFA, because we are the real group, the group that fights for all the fighters, and you know, support our class action, and know that we're fighting for you.
can we support you in any way? Me, my audience, the people that are gonna see this video. Is there any way for us to support you?
Well, not support me, but I'll send you a link, and then
Okay.
it's it's my girlfriend's GoFund. She's been a domestic violence survivor, and
Okay.
she's still dealing with the ex, who's a deputy sheriff, who's abusing his powers, and we got a high powered attorney on, and we're gonna bring justice, and we're gonna bring you know we're gonna expose some corruption here.
I hope you win that, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for all you do. Keep inspiring people. Keep training your son. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be the best of. I mean, like you, he's gonna be an amazing fighter. So thank you very much, for your time and the questions and what you have explained us. I'm gonna cut the interview here. Has been an honor for me, and thank you.
Have a good day. Thanks, everyone.
You do. Thanks.